Good afternoon. Thank you, Dr. Uche, for joining me in this interview. Basically, the idea here is to provide some sense of direction to our young people, especially those who are in school, who are graduates, who are looking for a job, who are looking for simply a sense of direction. So tell us your name, what did you study, where did you study, and where are you now and what are you doing?
All right, Chukwu, thank you for having me. My name is Callistus Chukwu. I'm a doctor at the moment practicing in the UK, but of course I started back home in Nigeria. I did my medical school at the University of Nigeria Teaching Medical College. From there, I did my specialty training actually in pediatrics at the University of Port Harcourt Teaching Hospital. It was after my training that I now considered the option of coming to the UK. So at the moment, I'm a clinical fellow at the Leeds Teaching Hospital NHS Trust. I've got other plans, which I hopefully should manifest in the next couple of months or years. But presently, I'm working as a clinical fellow at the Leeds Teaching Hospital.
So what exactly does this clinical fellow at the Leeds Teaching Hospital, what exactly is your typical day at work? What does it look like?
Just like another doctor. It's just a typical day for another doctor. You get to work. There are days you are scheduled to, cover the wards. You attend to inpatients. There are days you are in the clinic. There are days also you're off duties or you're on call. Naturally, normal thing for a doctor, it can be a normal standard day. You come to work 9 to 5, or you come to work, you stay 9 to 9, or you do some night schedules and then get some days off. So it's a normal thing. You do basically attend to your patients. There's no difference anywhere. You make decisions on your patients. Then beyond the clinical work, there's also the teaching art space, which you are also involved in. There are rotas as doctors to teach colleagues. Teaching spans from clinical experiences and cases you see on the ward, which you now highlight, which have learning points, which you bring up for everybody to learn from, to journal reviews, and also what generally is called perinatal or neonatal mortality reviews. These are common things for every doctor. We do on a day-to-day, schedule. So it's just the normal doctor work thing. Yeah.
Okay. Now you studied in Nigeria, University of Nigeria, so did your specialty in UPTH. Now you're practicing in the UK. Now, what is it like working in a Nigerian setting, hospital, and working in the UK? What exactly would you consider to be the difference in terms of your skill? Do you have a higher level of requirement as a practicing doctor in the UK than you had back in Nigeria?
Not exactly. The good thing about the Nigerian system is that it kind of equips you to fit in whatever situation you find yourself, because we study in the harshest, condition really. We study with a lot of imaginations. We study with things we don't see. We make a lot of inferences based on our head knowledge. So, and then of course, the clinical skills is very good. The emphasis back home is clinical skills, because we don't have the luxury of, getting our patients to run a variety of investigations. We don't have the luxury of, imaging. Those things are not at our beck and call. We don't have a lot of things that help a doctor arrive at a diagnosis. So we most times back home rely on our clinical skills, how to elicit signs and signs from your patient, and then make inferences, even when you don't have lab results to support you. So the training back home is very, I think to a reasonable extent, is good. It gives you that foundation. So when you make that move to a system like the one in UK, Yes, there are challenges, but most times these are challenges that you naturally overcome with time. They are not challenges based on knowledge.
Okay.
They're more like challenges based on applications or use of facilities, which you do not get to meet where you're working, really. So therefore, I'll just give you an instance.
Yeah.
As a student, and even as a trainee at the University of Port Harcourt, I never got to use what they call a blood gas machine.
Okay.
My brother, the blood gas machine is as rudimentary as anything you can think of here. Every single ward or unit has that aspect. It's something that it's an accessory. But I never got you. I heard, of course, I heard about it. I knew what I can make of it back home, but I knew how to interpret some results based on the blood gas results, but I never knew how to use it. I mean, how to use the machine.
Well, we haven't seen it before.
I have not seen it before. So that's the difference, really. So that initial shock. Oh, is it the gas machine? And then you have to start learning how to really use it. So that's just a typical example of what happens. There are quite a number of other things. Back home, we write on our clinical notes just manually. But here where I work, everything is like, computerized. So you've got to have that computer skills. I literally type all my notes. You understand? Everything you do, your interaction with your patients, document, you must have to type. So that could be a challenge for the doctor who hasn't developed that skill in simple Microsoft skills. So these are the common challenges the doctor would meet, rather than the actual
medical
knowledge or clinical skills. No, we've got those. It's just adapting ourselves to the facilities around here. So that's the thing.
That's fantastic. So how easy is it for a Nigerian medical doctor to migrate to the UK and begin to practice? What exactly are the steps he should take?
Yeah. So definitely once you make that decision, you should tell yourself it's not going to be an easy ride. It's not an easy ride by any standard. So it comes with a lot of effort, focus, and determination. You could meet some shortcomings, some failures, but if you're determined to make it, it's something you can do. A lot of people have done it. So basically, you can just project like it's a two-year project or 2-year target. You can, if you have a timeline of activities and events, that could be about what it will take you to achieve that. So first, the very first thing you need to do is what they call it again. Of course, you must have your international passport. That is rudimentary because you're going to plan to travel. They will require you to provide evidence of proficiency in English language. This is very unfortunate for those of us that studied back home in English. I mean, we are taught in English from primary school.
Exactly.
So this is something that the Nigerian government can mediate on. We shouldn't be tested on English, for goodness sake. So so you need to provide that evidence of your ability to communicate. So at the moment, we have the IELTS, and also there's one that's been adapted for medical professionals, what they call OET. Either of them, can stand in for what you need as proficiency in English language. So when you've done those, the next stage is to do what they call document verification.
Okay.
So this is a bit new to the UK system. They didn't used to do it before, but now they require you to verify your primary medical qualification, which is your MBBS certificate. That's the medical school certificate. And if you have any other postgraduate certificate, they need you to verify it. So they do this through the ECFMG. ECFMG is basically Educational Commission for Foreign Medical Graduates. In fact, it's same system that the US, Canada, they all use that to verify certificates of foreign medical graduates. So UK just started to join in the use of that services. So what it basically means that you need to open an account with ECFMG. It's a whole lot of process, but it's self-explanatory. You submit your certificates, your medical school certificates, or whatever certificate you have in addition. So the system verifies those. They get across to your medical college, your medical school, and make sure that it's authentic. They do other things they need to do to be sure of that. So that's verification of documents. And then the next point is you need to register. You have an account, an online GMC account. GMC is the body that regulates medical practice in the UK here, General Medical Council. So you first have to open an online account with them. Then whatever you do going forward will be based on your account on GMC. That will allow you schedule your exams, the exams you need to write to come to the UK. That will allow you the full registration with the council. So talking about exam, commonly, or most commonly, the PLAB. The PLAB is the commonest route people use in coming to the UK. The PLAB is just an acronym for Professional Linguistic Assessment Boards. Yeah. So there are two steps in the exam. You have the step 1 and step 2. You need to pass these exams. Step 1 is basically, most of the doctors know this, is MCQ based. And step 2 is more like a clinical scenario case. Step 1, you can write in Nigeria. There are 3 centers in Nigeria you can write the exam. I think Abuja, Lagos, and Enugu lately. And then I think the exams are written 3 times in a year.
Okay.
March, June, and November. These things keep changing anyway. But I think the last time I checked, that was how many times. So you should get a slot for the exam, book your exam. There's a cost for the exam, which is available on the GMC website. After you've passed so for you to actually book a slot for that first step, you need to have done all of those things. You need to have done your test of English language. You need to have done your document verification. So after the step 1, you move on to step 2, which is the one is clinical based, and you need to come to the UK. The step 2 is only, I think, written in the UK here, is quite capital intensive, involves a lot of money, because you have to plan around your travel and other logistics beside the exam fee itself. So when you've passed the 2 exams, step 1 and step 2 of CLAB, the next point is search for job, or rather, the next point is actually should be now obtain your full registration with the GMC.
Okay.
Yeah. So once you've done that, you are now licensed to practice as a doctor in the UK.
Okay.
Then before you now start for a job. Now I've just discussed just one route of coming to the UK.
Yeah.
That's the PLAB route.
You talked about the first one route to the UK as a medical doctor. So what's the second route?
Yeah, there are 2 more other routes actually. There's the sponsorship route.
Okay.
Now there's a scheme in place. Is between the UK government and Commonwealth nations. It's more like an exchange program. It provides opportunities for doctors from Commonwealth nations to come to the UK and gain some specialist experience, and then probably go back home. The scheme is meant to it's a 2-year scheme, and after the 2 years, you are ideally should go back home. It's called the MTI, the Medical Training Initiative. For you to qualify to use this route, you must have been in training in Nigeria, been in specialist training, and probably gone at least halfway into your training, what we call at least a senior registrar. You should have become a senior registrar or a consultant back home before you're qualified to use this initiative, this routes. So what happens there is that whatever training you're into in Nigeria, whether specialist, if you're doing pediatrics or surgery or ONG, whatever, you should be able to get in touch with your college, the equivalence of your college in the UK, the Royal College of Pediatrics and Child Health, or Royal College of ONG, whatever it is. They are the primary sponsors of this scheme. When you get in touch with them, they're able to provide a platform for you. If they find a slot for you, okay, yeah, we have a slot for you where you can come and I do, attach, train, learn, work, and get paid. So it's a paid period. So the one that provide that, and then when they're able to get a slot for you, they do the rest of the communication. This route, you don't need to write the PLAB exam. Okay. You don't need to. Yeah, the college sponsors you, and they provide whatever evidence they need to provide to the GMC to grant you a practicing license. So this route, you don't need to write, the PLAB exam. There are another route, which is also more like a postgraduate qualification route.
Okay.
That was the route I used anyway.
Okay.
For instance, you need to write an exam, but it may not be PLAB. You have chosen to write more like a higher exam.
Okay.
The PLAB exam is like a primary exam, like a screening exam, a selection exam. But if a doctor in Nigeria is already into some kind of specialist training, maybe has done this training, and maybe is doing, for instance, you're doing ENT, or you're doing whatever, say pediatrics. Now you decide to write the UK postgraduate exams in that specialty. Yes, you can do that. The only limitation to that is that you may not be able to write the exams from Nigeria. You probably may need to come to the UK or go to some other. They have some centers. I think they have centers in Egypt. You can write some of them in Egypt, in Dubai, some other parts of Europe. Yeah, so you won't be able to write these postgraduate UK exams from Nigeria. So if you do these exams and pass them, once you pass them, they will now stand in. They will do what PLAB exams will do for you. In fact, they're actually higher than PLAB. So the GMC sees them as evidence that you have the capacity to practice in the UK if you pass those exams, and they go on to register you and give you a license to practice. And when you come in now, it's a more streamlined pathway. You're already, in a pathway. So you just go into where you actually want to be. Maybe start a training in that specialist training. So that's another thing. There's a last option. There's a last route actually. It's not very common. It's not very popular, but it's actually a very, very feasible route, especially where money is not an issue for the doctor. Now it's open for everyone that wants to come and do some kind of postgraduate studies in UK, masters, PhD. I think it's a new policy from the UK government, which allows you some UK experience after finishing your masters. From what's happening now, if you do a master, you're giving, I think, 2 years to have some UK experience. So doctors can also explore this pathway. What it does is that you can come in to do a master's in any area, maybe public health or tropical diseases, whatever you want to choose to, if you can afford it. So you come in, as you're doing your master's, you can use the same period to prepare and write your PLAB exams. I mean, it takes away the pressure of preparing these exams from home. So you are in the UK environment, you have access to maybe some resources you probably will not have access to back home. And then while you're doing your master's, you take your time and go through the PLAB route. So that by the time you're finishing your master's, you're already registered to practice in the UK. So it's actually another route, which is especially where money is not an issue. If you can afford a master's degree program here, it's something one can look at.
All right, thank you very much. Now, what exactly would you consider to be the most important, let's say, attitude or skill that someone who is looking to move from Nigeria to the UK, what exactly mindset, perhaps, is the word I'm looking for? What exactly is the mindset this person should have? Because really, thousands of Nigerians want to leave Nigeria, but not many make it. What exactly would you say has helped you to make this move successfully and to get integrated quickly into the UK system?
I would say self-confidence. Self-confidence to a reasonable extent, yes. And the fact you need to really believe that you have what it takes to practice in the UK. You need that, because definitely the exams you have to write, sometimes you may not pass them at the first attempt. One, yes, and that can be very discouraging because those exams are very costly. They are very costly exams. So you can imagine when you register for an exam that's going to cost you almost 300K for ₦500,000 and then you don't pass the exam. It can be discouraging. So if you have that self-confidence and then of course that determination that this is what you want for yourself, those things will not deter you. You just push on and you are here. You are here. That self-confidence will see you through the initial stages on your arrival and starting work in the UK. To be honest with you, it's a different world here in terms of the society and even your workplace. Of course, your role in the hospital. The challenges come in different fronts. The culture shock. Of course, you arrive. You're not going to have the food you're used to. You see entirely new set of food, which you start learning how to adjust. The culture of the people, the mannerism, how people conduct themselves at the places of work. There are a lot of things you need to learn. You need to be sure that you're not seen as an alien, as an odd in terms of your approach to issues, courtesies, and stuff like that. These are things you're going to learn with time. So is that self-confidence that would, even at your low points, because definitely you're going to have days that are going to be low points for you. You're going to have bad days. I have to be honest with you. So is that self-confidence that will, prepare you? No, this will pass me by. I'm going to get beyond this, and you move on. So that's why I look at it. It has to be there. You have to really believe in yourself that you can do it.
So what kind of income do doctors command in the UK? What kind of income do they command in the
UK? You mean income?
Yeah, how much is the earnings of a doctor in the UK? Let's say somebody who just coming in and...
it's variable actually. Yeah, the new entrance into the system, like a Nigerian doctor coming into the UK, the kind of job offers for junior doctors will be basically what they call, call it junior doctor roles, which comes in under different names. Some call it LST roles. So it might be junior clinical fellow roles. Some others, you might be given a role as a foundation doctor, depending on the vacancies anyway. So, but all of them, they're all together, and the average annual, income, I think that should be, annual income after tax anyway. Is between, it's slightly variable, but it's between 30, let's say 32 to 40,000 pounds per annum. It's a little bit variable for the junior doctors.
This is after tax.
Yeah, it should be after tax. Yeah.
Okay.
It should be after tax.
All right.
Before tax is about 48, 50, 52. Yeah, before tax. Then after tax, you get that.
So for senior doctors, for senior doctors,
they can get as high as 48 to about 52 for senior doctors after tax. Then as a consultant, by the time you start practicing as a consultant, annual income should be averaging about 70,000 per annum. There are some other factors that come into play, but it's just a rough estimate what happens.
And of course, you have opportunity to do what you guys call locum and all that.
Exactly. Those are things that are open, because there's what they call the junior doctor. There are work conditions for junior doctors. There are rules. So even in place of primary employment, there's a maximum number of hours that the hospital should engage you in a week. They shouldn't exceed it.
All right.
Yeah. So the maximum, your hospital where you primarily work, you should engage is maximum of 48 hours per week.
Okay.
48 hours, usually between 40 to 48 hours. But the rule allows you up to 70 hours.
In a week?
In a week. So if you have that interest, you can use your SSRs, that's the additional 12 hours in a week, to do something
somewhere else.
Yeah, so yeah, that's how it works. So it's actually a little bit flexible, yeah.
So compared to other professions, how well do you think doctors are paid in the UK?
Doctors are not well paid in the UK.
Really?
No, seriously.
With this kind of income, they are not well paid?
No, doctors are not well paid in the UK.
Somebody in the finance, somebody who is in finance and engineering and all that, they earn much more than doctors?
Yeah, they do. Guys in this, software engineering, IT, financial technology, guys that work from their home. Lots of money. Seriously, you won't believe it. They're quite a lot. No, seriously, especially in the jobs that has to do with that are IT based.
Yeah,
you can do a lot for a lot of companies if you have that that training. And the thing is that these are things you can actually stay in your home and work, and remove that stress of
commuting.
Yes. So yeah, I just want to think those just a better paying. When you compare the efforts.
Yes, the effort, yes.
When you compare the efforts and the energy, committed to the jobs, the doctors work very hard, seriously speaking. You need to know that. Not that because I'm a doctor, our job is actually demanding in terms of physically. If you are on a night shift, it's not unusual for you to stand 9 to 10 hours out of the 12 hours of the night shift.
Wow.
It's not unusual. Walking around, before you settle down, your bleed goes up, you're needed somewhere. So it's just a normal thing, 9 to 10 hours out of the 12 hours. But these guys, I know they work.
They do.
But then maybe they work from the comfort of their homes and relaxing and doing their things and then making the whole money. So that's the thing anyway. Personally, I think, the pay is reasonable, but comparatively, it's not the best of jobs in the UK. All
right. Thank you very much. So, what do you consider to be your last words? What exactly would you, as a general advice to a young person who is leaving school? What would you consider to be a very good advice in advancing his career?
Yeah. See, it's a very sad development what we're experiencing in Nigerian system, where doctors are leaving Nigeria en masse. In fact, the truth is that it's not even only doctors.
Every profession.
Not only doctors. Nigeria is losing their best of brains, even in the other fields, financial industry, in IT, engineering, just name it, because the UK, Canada, and other places, they're quite open. They're looking for good hands who can come in and support their system. So it's a very sad thing we're experiencing in Nigeria. But the truth is that it's all about survival and satisfaction in what you do. Now, I want you to understand that what doctors pass through back home, doctors in most cases work in circumstances that are very depressing. You may not understand this if you're not a doctor.
I am not.
You could see back home, you could see your patient die before you in circumstances that that in a different, it's possible to save this person from dying. But unfortunately, you lose this patient because of the system, because of the lack of the poor, system on ground. It does happen. I'll give you a basic instance. When I was in the University Teaching Hospital in pediatrics, almost every unit, what I mean by units, consultant group, you understand?
Yes.
Have what they call a pause, patient pause. Doctors contribute to that pause for emergency fund, because we will have patients that come in who can't afford emergency care. The system back home is structured in such a way that if you come in needing emergency care, you still have to pay.
Yes.
And if there's delay in procuring drugs or whatever emergency, the person would die just in front of you. That doctor goes home depressed. You don't know how he suffered. Back home, people think it's just about the money, but we are human beings. We see avoidable deaths, and it lives in your memory. It lives with you. It makes you sad. It makes you sad. And you know very well that you have the skill, the knowledge it takes to save this life. But sadly, this environment, the system has failed you. Your hands are tied. You can't do anything. So that's a lot of the Nigerian doctor. So coming over to the UK takes away that body from you. That's the only thing I can tell you at the moment. So if any young doctor who has graduated and wants to live a happy life, when I mean get some kind of joy and happiness delivering your services to people, then I mean, you're welcome. No, serious, because it's not about the money. Out there, what many people think is the money that's driving doctors come to the UK. The money is there, but the truth is the job satisfaction, the happiness you get that you're able to do your things. You're not limited by lack of facilities, lack of things you need to do your basic work. You don't have that limitations here. So those things are available for you, and you not do it, deliver on your jobs. So that's one thing I found gratifying. That's one thing I found, that's one thing I feel happy for this movement. So if any doctor is looking for happiness and satisfaction in the job, coming to the UK should be a very good option for such a doctor.
All right, thank you very much. Thank you very much. It's been a good time. I expect that some of our people who use our platform will have the opportunity to schedule calls one-on-one to talk with you, to ask you some questions that you may not have addressed in this short interview. Thank you very much, and we look forward to a very good ride as we help as many Nigerians as possible to navigate their career, even as they leave school or even while in school. Thank you very much. Talk soon.
You're welcome, bro. All right, thanks.